All right, this is going to be Tiny Dancer by Elton John. The first thing we can do is a little riff here. Okay, so I'm going straight up a C chord. Then I'm hitting the 3rd fret with my pinky here on the 2nd string. And then that 1 on the 2nd string, and then I'm going to hit that one with this 3 on the big string at the same time. So it's... And then I'm going to hit this 2 here on the G string, and I'm going to go back down to that lower one. So I'm going to go 2, 3, 2, and then open 1 on that 2nd string. So it's... Okay, so the end of that again was 2, 3, 2, 0, 1. Okay, and we can do that like 4 times. Okay, so that's a way to kind of simulate the piano fills and stuff in there. Now we're going to get into a kind of a basic strum. We're going to have C and F. So down, down, up, down, up, that kind of thing. 2, 3, and... Now this time we're going to do 2 C's. And then the F. The kind of the last beat of that 2nd measure of F, you're going to hit that G at the end there. So that's your 5, 4, 3, and 3. So once again from this verse, we're going to go 3, 4. And then C twice. F. F, G. And then we repeat all that. Got the C to F twice. Do the C twice, and the F again, and then the F, G, and now we're going to start a new part, F, E minor 7, which is 2, 0, 3, 0, and then A minor, and then D7. So let's go over those 4 again. So we had the F to the G at the end of that last part, and then we start the new part, F, E minor 7, A minor, D7. Now we're going to go D minor 7, which is 0211. Back to the E minor 7, 2030. And then A minor 7, which looks like a C basically. And then G7 is 1 on the bottom with the opens. And then we'd be back into another verse, okay? So let's look at this change again. We got F, E minor 7, A minor, D7, D minor 7, E minor 7, A minor 7, which is like C, and G7. And then we're back into a new verse, C and F. Then we got the 2 C's. Now this time we're going to do a G descending. So we're kind of having moving notes of the little 3, the little 1, the little open, and the 3 on the 2nd string. So you can kind of strum that G chord with all those moving notes, and then we're going to be back into the C to F. 2 times of the C to F. And now we go ahead and set up the next verse. We're going to do the same stuff. Now we'll do 2 C's. We'll do the F. And the F, G, and back to a C to F verse thing. We'll do the double C. Go to the F to G, and then we do this as kind of our chorus, this F, E minor 7, A minor 7, D7, D minor 7, E minor 7, A minor 7, G7. And then we're back to a new verse, C to F. We're about to get into a new thing here in a second. We got the double C here. Now this time we're going to do that G descending. And now we have a C to F. But here we're going to do two Cs. Now we're going to get into the bridge. This is going to be an A flat. So this is 6, 5, 4, 4. And you can kind of strum these one at a time. So we're going to go up to B flat, which is 8, 7, 6, 6. And then G minor, 5 with the 3s. C minor is 5, 5, 4, 3. Back to that A flat, 4th fret, twice as long. And the B flat, twice as long. And then it says that kind of softly, slowly line. You can actually slow down at that point. G7. So we got like a back to A flat, twice as long. B flat. So we do it slower on those G7s. And then we come into this kind of like the main chorus. The tiny dancer part. Okay, so we got an F. Kind of jang, 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 jana. Hold me closer. Got the C, then we got D minor twice. You could just go back to the F, but you could do a little E minor on the way to the F. You get your F to C. Now here we're gonna have like a A sus. This is like 2, 2, 3, and open. Back to F, C, D minor. Got your Tony Danza. Kind of walk back to that F, C, and that A sus thing. We got our, so this is 4 times through all this. Back to that A sus thing. And here goes the 4th time. Here we're gonna go. I'm gonna move this up to the F bass, so it's 3, 2, 3 open now. And I'm gonna take this pinky up here on the big 5. And this is the only time that happens, so it's like you kind of add some bass notes. Normally we have the 2 in the bass, we're gonna go to the 3. And then we're gonna have a 5. 5, 2, 3 open. And then we settle on back into some C to F again. So you could do your little riff again there. So 4 times of that. New verse. Double the C, go to the F, F, G, and we'll do that exact same thing again to kind of double that verse section, and then we're going to have that chorus, F, E minor 7, A minor, D7, D minor 7, E minor 7, A minor 7, G7, and then we have another verse set. And this verse set is the one that goes to that G walk down thing. So here we're gonna have our double C and then the G walk down. We got C to F, and then we got got a double C, and this takes us into that A flat thing. So we got B flat, G minor, C minor, A flat, twice as long, B flat. Then we got the G7 softly and slowly, kind of slow down a little bit there. And then we get in that big tiny dancer chorus. F to C, 3 and 4 and we got D minor twice. Can kind of walk to that E, F, C again. And then we got that A sus. Okay, so we roll through this thing 4 times. Let's say this is the 4th one. We're gonna do that sus thing. Now we're gonna go to that 3 bass. But we're not gonna go to that next one. We're just gonna go to the C to F, C. Ends up being 3 times, and then we're done. So I suppose you could at the end go. Just do it 3 times. All right, Tiny Dancer, Elton John. Hope you dug that. This will have a tab and chord chart and all that with it. So basically our biggest changes were the F, E minor 7, A minor to D7, D minor 7, E minor 7, A minor 7, G7. So this is a good little workup on your chords as well to double check everything. We got A flat chord here, we got a B flat, we got G minor and C minor, we had G7, we also had like F and C, D minor, and we had an A sus, and then we had that different bass, and we had this different bass. This is going to be Rocket Man by Elton John. We're going to have a G minor chord here. So we're going to bar these 3s on the 3 bottom strings. We're going to bring this finger over here to get that 5 on top. 5, 3, 3, 3. We're going to go the easiest way, just strum 4 of those. And then we're going to bring in our pinky on the 5th fret of the 2nd string with those other notes. So it ends up being 5, 3, 5, 3. So first we have G minor for 4. And then we bring in the pinky. That's a C7. And then we're back to G minor. C7 again. Now we're going to bring in a new thing, this middle finger on the 2nd string of the 4th fret there. So we're going to end up with 5, 3, 4, 3. That's an E flat chord. Okay, so we're going to have and again. Then we're going to have the E flat 2 times. And then we're going to go to this B flat, 3, 3, and 3. And if you can, mute that bottom one there. Or else you'd have to do this B flat over here. So if you can, mute that bottom string. Doing these 1 finger things can be very helpful. So once again, we have the G minor, C7. Doing that twice. And then the E flat brings in that middle finger 2 times to the B flat, those 3s. And then we're going to go to a C minor, 5, 5, 4, and 3. And then here we're going to go back to a shape that's like that E flat. It's kind of a C minor with a B flat added to it. But let's take a look at that change again. We're going to have this E flat twice to B flat, and then C minor back to like an E flat shape. And then we're going to go F for 8 beats. You can add a little strumming in there. So let's try the verse again. G minor to C7 twice, then E flat 2 beats, B flat 2 beats, C minor 2 beats, back to the E flat shape, and F for 8 beats. So here we go, 3, 4. flat for 2, B flat, C minor, E flat shape, F for 8. Now I've put a little strumming in there. We got our E flat for 2, B flat, C minor, E flat, F for 8. Now we're going to move to a B flat for the chorus. So E flat, back to B flat, E flat again, B flat, a little quicker there, C, and then E flat, B flat, E flat. Now we're going to start the chorus over again. B flat, E flat, and then we got E flat, B flat quicker to the C, E flat, E flat. So it's a lot of those 2 chords. Once you get the hang of it, now we're back to verse. This would be a little bit more pronounced rhythmic thing. E flat, you got your F, and each part always goes twice. This is the second half of the second verse set. Of course, you could just take this easy and just do like 1 strum at a time for each beat, you know. E flat to B flat, C minor, that E flat shape, without trying to do anything fancy with the strumming. But if you want to add stuff, you know, maybe like one of those down, down, up, down, 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 up, down. Something like that fits pretty well in this tune. Let's go through a whole set of verse chords, and then we're going to go into that chorus again. So G minor, we can take it real simple with just with downstrokes. 3, 4. C7. And again. Now this E flat here, there's also, you kind of play a simpler one of that if you wanted to. So you could also do a G minor like this, a little easier. But if you can get that one, it makes going to this one kind of cool. And if you can get that one, you kind of can get that one too. So it depends how far you want to go reach with that. So let's try that again. 3, 4. On the E flat, 2 on the B flat, C minor, E flat, F for 8. Now we're going to go to the B flat for the chorus. E flat. It's a lot of these back and forth. Now that goes quicker here to the C. Back to E flat, B flat, back to E flat again. And let's hit that final chorus. Be a long, long time. You got a lot of B flat and E flat. Here you go, 2 beats each, down to the C, Rocket Man, and then E flat. Flat again, flat. And then we're going to start the whole chorus again with a B flat. E flat. Now we're going to have 2 beats each. E flat, B flat, going to C. Rocket Man, E flat. Rocket Man, B flat. So you just got to figure out where to land your E flats and B flats. Now this next time, it's going to repeat chorus. So the first couple times goes back to the verse thing, that G minor. So that's basically Rocket Man, y'all. You got G minor, C7, G minor, C7, and you got E flat, which is 5, 3, 4, 3. 2 beats to the B flat, 3, 3, 3. C minor, 5, 5, 4, 3. And back to that kind of E flat shape. And then F. And then when you get to the chorus, you got B flat, E flat. If you can get those shapes together, helps out a lot. You can go really back, just kind of mute that one on the B flat at the bottom one. And then going to the C is no problem there. The F chord, and then a C chord, and then a D minor chord, back to an F chord. And then we have this B flat to C there real quick after you did the B flat. So B flat, C, and F. Let's try it one more time. 3, 4, F, C, D minor, F, B flat, to the C, F. Now there's another little trickier way we could do it. We go. So that would just be like this is an F shape down here. This is a D shape, but it becomes an F when you put it on the 5th fret. So this is like an F bass, to an E bass, to a D bass, to a C bass, 5th fret of the 3rd string. So you get a walking bass thing going in there. This would be like the advanced version, you know, you get extra credit for this one. And then B flat, to the C, and F. Now we're going to get into our basic strum pattern in these first few chords for the verse. Our basic strum pattern, we're going to start with a G minor chord. You could also do it like this. 5, 3, 3, 3 if you want, but open 3, 3, 3. That'll do her too. So we're going to have down, down, up, down. So that's 1, 2, and 4. That's our basic strum pattern for the whole song. So G minor to C, F to B flat. Now I like to do this E flat like this in this area. So that's 5, 3, 4, 3, and you're barring those 3s down here. You could just do it as this little D shape, but you have to make sure not to hit the big D string. You could also do it like this if you find that easier, but that might be your best bet. Just try to mute or stay away from that big string if you do that one. But this would be the next good chord to learn for that one. So let's go from the beginning again. G minor to C, F to B flat, E flat to C7. Now C7 is 2, 3, 1, open. Back to F twice. So that was the first part of the verse. Now the next part of the verse is going to start with a G minor again, but it's going to go quickly to the B flat. Kind of like 2 beats each because they're splitting a measure. They're sharing a measure of 4 beats. So we got G minor, B flat, C7, full strum resumes, F, B flat, E flat, back to C7, F twice. Now, if we were just going to strum the next part, here's a D flat. This is going to be 3, 1, 2, 1. So the E flat, but just down 2 frets. D flat, E flat, A flat is like this F shape on the 4th fret. Back to D flat. Then we're going to go B flat minor, which is 3, 3, 2, 1. To C7. Then we're to the chorus. So that was like the pre-chorus. So let's look at that all again. So D flat to E flat. flat, back to D flat, B flat minor, C7. Okay, and then there's also, there's going to be finger picking in this later on. But for right now, this is actually very close to what's on the record if you wanted to do the finger picking part for this pre-chorus. To the F of the chorus. So let's take a look at that. We got that little D shape, but on the first fret. And we're just going down from the little string, first string, second string, third string, with a pause in between the two sets. Up to the third fret, same thing. And then we have this little 4, 4, and 5 from that A flat chord. Back to the D flat. Now we have part of the B flat minor. We're going to go 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to go 0, 1, and 3. That was the C7. This was the B flat minor. 1, 2, 3. And the C7 is 0, 1, and 3. Okay, so one more time on that finger picking. 2, 3, and... Okay, and then we're going to move on with the chorus, F to A7. So 2, 0, 2, 0 for that A7. B flat to F. Now we're going D7, 2, 2, 1, 2 on the bottom here. Back to G minor, C7, F. Now we have D minor. A major, B flat, to our D flat. So you kind of strum that 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and go up to D flat to E flat. Then we have F to A minor, 2 beats each. D minor, you could take that D minor to a D minor 7, keep that bass walking. F, A minor, D minor 7, which is 2, 1, 1. And then B flat, C, and then D flat again. Same thing as before. We got a couple measures of F there at the end of that. Then the whole thing starts over. I'm going to do the more of a picking pattern through the whole thing. So you could strum everything just like we did. And the picking pattern thing, like I said, if you didn't want to do that, you could just be D flat, E flat, just play through that part. A flat, D flat, B flat minor, C7. So you can strum through all of the chords of the whole thing. But if you wanted to mix up your strumming with a little bit of picking, I think that pre-chorus would be really the place to put it at. That's really like the album too. So now we're going to run through the whole thing again, and I'm going to give you a more full picking pattern. So this will be, let's look at the beginning again. We had a F, C, D minor to F, B flat to C and F. And we also had the So now let's get into the G minor to C, but we're going to use this picking pattern. So we're using the big one and the little one. And then we're going strings 3 to 2, and then the big string, string 4, to the first string, back to the third string. So it's 4th and 1st, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, as far as the string numbers. So let's practice that. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got a little swing to it. It's not, it's like, so it definitely has that swing type of feel. So let's try G minor to C with that. 2, 3, and F to B flat, E flat, C7, F, G minor. So we might just kind of strum twice on this, like G minor, B flat, and then resume the picking pattern there. If you wanted to try to pick through it, you might go. You go like the big one and the little one, and then the two insider ones. Do the same for the B flat. And then resume the picking pattern on the C7, F, E flat, E flat, C7, F. And then if you wanted to, you go keep the same picking pattern as we had before this. Chorus, A7, B flat to F, D7, G minor, C7 to F, D minor, A major, B flat, D flat, so we could do that thing where we do the little one and the big one, and then the inside ones for the F to A minor, D minor to D minor 7, and then B flat, C, and then we'd be back to the Of course, if you pick that like we have been in this latest version, okay, and at the end of the song, we're going to have, you just hold the F. Okay, so different things we have to go over. The beginning could be very easy, F, C, D minor, F, B flat to C to F. Or it could be this. And then we could have a strum, down, down, up, up, down. This next line, kind of 2 beats each. Back to strumming for the chorus, A7. D7, D minor, last one holds out that F. So let's count in a little bit of that stuff. Let's try to count in the intro, and let's look at some alternate chords for some of these chords. So F, we had an alternate F here, and then C could also be done like this. We had a B flat, we had B flat minor, we had a D minor, we had a D7. We had a D flat, we had an E flat, an A flat. Now C7 is this 2-3-1 open. That could also be played 5-3-5-3. Just like you can do G minor open 3-3-3, you could also do it 5-3-3-3. So that first set of chords could be, all I did is put my pinky in there to get the C7 out of a G minor. F, B flat, E flat. Now E flat and D flat could also be played here. Here's D flat on the 4th fret, 6s with a 4, and then 8s with a 6. That's E flat. So you could always, they just seem a little bit easier to me down here. That's why I did them down there. Okay, so let's see what other chords we have options on. A flat is like this, like an F shape on the 4th fret. It could also be played like this, 1s with a 4 on the bottom. Okay, so that's a few of your different options for the chords, way to play the chords. Now let's count you in and try each of these little parts if we can. So here goes the intro. F, C, D minor, F, and then B flat, C to F. Let's do it nice and slow. 2, 3, and F, C, D minor, F, B flat, bum, bum, F. Okay, and then let's try G. I'll count you through the verse chords again, nice and slow. Remember the strum is. Okay, 2, 3, 4, G minor to C, F, B flat, E flat, C7, F twice. 2 beats each on G minor, B flat, and then C7. Strum resumes, and then F, B flat, E flat, C7, F twice. Now let's try the little picking pattern here. 2, 3, and. Okay, then we're going to strum the chorus, F to A7. 2, 3, 4. B flat to F. D7 to G minor. C7 to F. D minor to A. B flat to D flat. Hold the D flat, 1, 2, 3, up to E flat, and then F to A minor, D minor to D minor 7, B flat to C, and then picking again. Let's count in on that. 2, 3, and. And of course, the first time you get there in the song, you go back to all the beginning G minor C for a whole nother set of verses. Now the last time you're going to end up with a B flat minor, C7, and hold the last F.